Okay, good stuff. So welcome to the Bring It Coaching podcast. This is episode 5. And on today's episode, I'm joined by Dina. How you doing, Dina?
I'm doing well, thank you. How are you?
I'm very good.
Good.
Finally got you on to the podcast. I know it's been a bit difficult to get you on. I understand that you are a very busy person. You're in the industry of fitness and health, and you're doing great things from what it looks like. So I'm actually excited about this one, and hopefully we can get more of an insight into who you are, your journey, and talk more specifically. I want to talk more about nutrition side of things as well, because that's a very, very popular topic around food and specifically carbohydrates, and sort of how that sort of impacts performance and everyday lifestyle, really. So, Dina, before I actually get into the main topics and stuff, what I tend to do is ask our guests a fun, interesting fact about yourself, if you don't mind sharing. So if there's anything that you want to share, interesting, funny, or about yourself, now's the time.
A funny, interesting fact. Oh, I can walk at least 50 meters on my hands.
On your hands?
As in upside down on my hands. I can just keep walking.
Oh, wow. Okay. No, that's good. I definitely can't do that. I won't be trying to do that. So how fast can you go, though, is the question. Can you move pretty quick?
Yeah, I can move pretty fast as well, yeah.
Okay. Can you run? Can you actually run with your hands?
I'm going to try.
Yeah.
I'll try.
Yeah, you'll have to get that one up on the Instagram stories for us to see that one.
Yeah.
That'd be good. Brilliant, good stuff. So, Dina, yeah, I actually got in contact with yourself through a mutual friend, and he actually posted on his own Instagram stories about what you were doing, and it definitely sparked an interest into getting you on to the podcast and learning more about who you are and your journey. So let's take it back all the way to the beginning. Like, how did you get involved? What was your earliest, I guess, memory or experience of sport or health or any sort of form of activity for that matter?
My earliest memory has got to be actually when I was a child. I've got 4 brothers. I'm one of 5, and we were all so active, always in the garden. We were lucky; our garden had a lot of stuff in there, So we were always climbing, playing, just doing random things. So that's actually my earliest memory of activities.
Yeah. Being a child, playing in the back garden with your siblings. Yeah. So okay, good stuff. And just just to give a bit of context, your background now, is it more like gymnastic style sort of stuff, or?
Yeah. So I got into the Loughborough Gymnastics Academy as a young girl.
Okay.
So I was a gymnast till I was only till about 12, which is a shame, really. So I think if I'd continued it, well, I know if I'd continued it, I'd be a lot better now. But the good thing is, just from being a gymnast from like the age of, I think it was 8 to 12, it's enabled me to be so mobile, flexible, young and free now when I'm 30.
Right. Okay, no, that's good. And so I guess then growing up in, with so many siblings and all being boys, how did that sort of shape you in the sense of, was you all competitive with each other? Did you have like an edge against each other? How was that like?
Yeah. The eldest, the second eldest one actually went in the military when he was older. That's how we all wanted some sort of uniform background. So when it came to running, competing through sports, we just loved it. Like we would go running for fun to have races together.
Wow.
So I call myself lucky in that sense as well, because it meant sports and fitness for me was always fun. Whereas some people struggle to want to go do it.
And do you think that was did you have any influence from parents or any like older other people around you? Like, how did you guys get into it all?
We actually got into sports because my mum was the opposite. So she was the kind of person that didn't do anything other than just sit and watch. But luckily, because of all her health problems and the way that she became through not moving properly, she pushed all of her children to be the opposite.
Brilliant, yeah.
It's thanks to her that we're all extremely fit, healthy, still to this day. All of us are.
Wow. Yeah, it's very good. It's very good. And
Yeah.
that's similar background to myself as well. Mum pushed us to do a lot of sports and activities when we were younger. All the summer holidays, we would go and do all these like summer play schemes and stuff. So that's interesting. That's good.
Yeah.
Okay, so talk about more your your sort of your pathway to like gymnastics, and were there any other sports that you took part in that you took seriously or competitive?
Yeah, so the sport called CrossFit, and I only found that a couple of years ago, but that associated to all of my training that I used to do when I was trying to go into the military. I loved it because it's very similar. And then also with the gymnastics, it was like perfect for me because it's actually got a mixture of all of it into that one sport. But it's not just based on the gymnastics side. So I loved it. So I actually then went on to become a qualified CrossFit coach, level 1 in children and the adults. I ended up doing both.
Wow.
So I just loved it. And it's also a competitive sport, which I like. So it works for me.
Definitely. Oh, that's really interesting. So you did the gymnastics for a bit. Why did you actually stop then, if you don't mind me asking? What made you stop it?
I got to the age of just doing so much. I was about to, like, say 12, 13. There was all my friends were starting to play out. Just typical teenage stuff, I think. And also, I was never good enough to make something from being a gymnast, which I always knew, and that wasn't my goal. So I do believe if you're going to make your child, sorry, but if you're going to encourage your child to do sports, either let it be fun, or if you want it to be their background in their future, then they have to dedicate a lot to it. And that's not something I wanted to do.
Yeah. It's a sort of a fine line, because I actually went to school with some actual professional footballers. And just reflecting on and looking at the back, from a background, looking at their lifestyle, the amount of time and dedication they put into it, it was some serious stuff. And I think as a parent, you have to definitely you have to be in it themselves and dedicate not only their own time, by helping the child get through it, but yeah, you're right, it does take up a lot of time and energy for it. Do you think sorry, go ahead.
No, carry on.
Oh, do you think it's sort of misconception? Is there like a sort of misconception around it? Like, do you think parents just loosely put their children into sports and then hoping the best, that they're actually going to make something of it? Do they sort of lack the actual time and energy and effort and knowledge that goes into it?
Yeah, like working with children myself now, I have a mixture of different kind of parents, all different characters, all different wants, beliefs, etc. And I do find you've got some parents out there that generally think their kid's just going to blow up and it's going to work. They have, and like you say, that's not reality. It really doesn't work like that. Not only do they have to be in it as much as the child, they need to understand all of it. They need to understand how the child's actually feeling whilst they're doing all of these sports. Because if they're not, as we're going to go on to talk about nutrition, if they're not nutritionally eating correct either, or having a very balanced but correct lifestyle, that child's going to suffer, not actually have enjoyment from it. So I think as a parent, you really need to understand and know that before trying to push your child to do something. Which, again, like I say, though, I've got a mixture of parents and everyone's different, but I have got a couple that do. They are like, they'll text me like, why has my child not like this? And I'm like, because it's only been an hour. You're like, whoa. But it's all roundabouts.
Yeah. So you get a lot of eager parents trying to really push for their success. Do you think they're actually they're trying to push their own, experience onto their child? Like maybe they didn't make it to a standard and now they're trying to, do you think that there is that there as well? Because I know from doing football coaching in my previous years, earlier years, I did find that with some parents, and even just growing up playing football as well. Do you find that in your sort of setup?
Yeah, I do. And it's funny actually, because I've actually got a couple of the ex-footballers' children. So I've got an ex-Leicester City player, and what I love about how he's approached his child with sport is, as a young girl from the age of 2 years old, that little girl was in sport. She's now 8 or 9. But they've allowed her to pick where she's going, what she's doing. They're very free with it. Like, she can have 2-3 weeks off at a time because that she just wants a bit of break. They've not pushed it and like made it a thing for her. And if you look at now her enjoyment with all these different sports that she does, she loves it and she wants to do it. So yeah, it's like you say, it's experience, isn't it? He knows how to deliver that back to his child because he's done it.
Yeah. So he's gone through the rankings and sort of reached the pinnacle of his professional playing field. Okay, sounds good. So let's talk about the actual. You say you work with children. So what made you get into that then? Working with the children.
I've always worked with children. I've just always enjoyed it. So before becoming a personal trainer and like a coach, I was actually a prison officer. And then before that, in the youth offending service, which got me into the prison service. So I've always worked I've always wanted to work with children. And then I had like a gap, like a couple of years gaps where I went to Southeast Asia and then worked with children. And I loved it. And that was the making. That's when I thought, right, I'm going to go back to the UK. I had no choice, the pandemic hit. But I'm going to go back and not go back into the jail and work with those kind of children and adults, just because I'd done that. I didn't want to do it again. I wanted to go back instead and go in the sports industry and work with children. And that's how I got in. That's why I'm here doing it now.
Brilliant. Okay. Say that again, sorry.
I said, I'm brilliant.
No, that's great. That's interesting. So you actually worked in the prison office. Let's talk more about that. Then how did you come about doing that?
Well, like I said, growing up, I wanted to be a soldier. That's what I used to say. When my dad used to be like, Dina, what are you going to do? I'm going to be a soldier. He was like, you can't. You're my only daughter. Why do you want to be a soldier? But I just loved it. I loved being out on the field doing stuff. But I actually didn't get in the military. I've got hearing impediment in both ears. So I have to I'm supposed to wear 2 hearing aids. But I've managed to over time get used to it. I can tone myself down when I can hear myself being loud. I can understand that I need to look at people and concentrate to understand them. So, you learn to adapt. But rather than wearing them, I don't. But it just meant I couldn't get in the army. And I did actually try for the police at the same time as trying for the prison, but I just kept failing the assessments and stuff like that because it's so hard. Yeah. So, yeah, but I'm going to the prison service, so that was quite cool.
Nice. And how long was you in there then for?
I was in 4 years.
Wow. And what did you take? What did you take from that? What did you learn from that?
Well, the main thing I learned, which I will take with me forever, and I pass to my kids, is the things that you actually see on the movies and the TV. It's real. There are real humans out there that legit will do those crimes on the streets. From burglary to the worst kind of rape, sexual assault crimes to the worst kind of murders. That it does exist. It really does. So you just have to be so careful.
Yeah. I mean, that can really, I guess that can really impact you from a mentor's perspective. Like, how do you deal with all that? With like trying to stay strong yourself and keep your own sort of keep staying in a place like that. How would you do that? Have to be like emotionally strong, right?
It's talking, and you have to tell people, and the people that you trust, which is hard, but you just have to find that. You have to talk to people about how you feel and what, like, from a situation that's just happened, what you've taken from that. Because the first thing I did, because I went in quite young, I went in at 22, which I believe now no one should go in at 25 below. That's just my opinion. Because I also joined with my best friend, and she's still my best friend to this day, which was beautiful. But our journeys were so different. She only lasted 3 months, and her mental health deteriorated in those quite bad because she didn't talk, didn't express what she was feeling. And then, you just have to talk. You have to tell people what you think and feel, and not be embarrassed about doing that either.
Sure.
Yeah.
No, it sounds like an experience.
It was great. I loved it. I really did love it, but I wouldn't let my daughter do it.
Yeah. Okay, so you got to a point where then you left for you went abroad.
Yeah.
To do what did you do there? Sorry.
To teach English language. So I did my Catherine Celta, which is like this online teaching course that anyone can actually do. Anyone. So I jumped on that, did that, and then got myself out there. But I was lucky again. I've always been lucky in life. Another one of my best friends, she was already out there, so I already had connections. So I was like, I'm coming, and I thought,
yeah, brilliant. Yeah, I mean, it always helps having the contacts and the people that you know, isn't it?
It
goes a long way. Okay, so you went out there to teach, and was that children you mentioned, or was it adults or?
All children.
All children.
They did put me in a secondary school at one point because I was good with the kids, so I could communicate. But in terms of actually teaching them the English language to what they needed, I wasn't good enough. So I stayed in the nurseries. So they don't call it nursery like they do in the UK. It's kindergarten.
Kindergarten,
so
yeah.
Yeah, which I loved.
Right, so young children.
And I'm not an English teacher. I'm not trying to be one. But you can go out and you can teach people what you know enough of, and then really benefit from it.
Okay, and what was the culture there for, like health, fitness? Was it a priority out there, or compared to the?
Actually, it is, yeah. But it was. I spent the majority of my time was Vietnam, and I learned so much over there compared to here. Like they're just little things from their fruit guidelines are so different to ours. In the UK, so the Western dietary requirements for fruits, which we copy America, is 5 pieces of fruit a day, whereas in Southeast Asia it's a minimum of 8. And I love that. And like their carbohydrates, for example, they have a whole list of what they can pick from. And it's not unusual to be sitting there in the morning and have like 3 or 4 mixtures of these things in front of you, just all sitting together, like I'm sitting now, just cross-legged, and just all eating. And I just loved it. I learned a lot in 2 years.
Wow. It sounds like there's a lot more of a traditional community sort of get together feel.
Yeah, they've not lost it.
Yeah, which I think is which I was about to say. It seems like it's been lost here in the West. And okay, it's good. So so you was there for how long? Sorry, was you in
2 years? Just over 2 years, 3 months.
2 years. Okay, so then you decided to come back and start.
Well, no, to be fair, I actually didn't. I had no plans to come back to this country, if I'm being honest.
Oh, wow.
To the point where I've still got 2 massive suitcases full of stuff still there that I'm like, I need to get back. So I had a whole life there. I didn't plan to come back. I was 28, 29. I didn't want to come back.
Okay. Pandemic forced you back. Right.
But it actually hit Southeast Asia in the December. It didn't hit the UK until the March the following year. So I was ringing my family in December, like, something really weird's happening. And then in the January, the whole of Vietnam went into lockdown 3 months before you guys even knew about half of it. Well, not knew about it, but 3 months before it touched the UK with effects and And my best friend, the girl I was in the prison service with, she was due to be married by the September, but in Cyprus. And I remember calling her and her husband in the January, like, you guys are not getting married, like, the world's going under. And I'm coming home. And they were like, what? And then I ended up going home 2 months later because it was crazy. Like, the whole of Southeast Asia was just called complete lockdown.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was quite scary.
Yeah, hit everybody, didn't it, unexpectedly?
Yeah.
So you came back. What did you sort of do from there? Like, how did you, I know you mentioned you sort of decided to get into the sport and set your own, set up your own place and stuff. But was there a period when you came back, it was like, okay, like what now? Sort of like, did you have time to like think and have much time to sort of go off on this journey, on the next chapter?
Luckily, because I am that person that just plan for the future. I am a bit like, oh, what's next? So while I was in Vietnam, luckily I'd already done my CrossFit level 1. I'd flown to South Korea, which I loved. And I did my level 1 adults there, not the children, the children back in the UK. But so I'd already started planning on like having 2 jobs in Vietnam by teaching the English language and then going into the CrossFit box, teaching CrossFit. So I was already planning all these things. So on the flight, on the way home, I remember saying to my best friend, so we were both quite down. It was actually one of the scariest I'd felt for a long time, because it was more like, okay, right, I'm going back to the UK at 29 years old with nothing. Like, what on earth am I going to do? And I remember just looking at Shanice saying, I'm going to be a PT. I'm going to go back and I'm going to smash it. That's honestly what I said, and I've done it.
Wow.
So I just believe, anyway, if you feel it, and I felt it, so if I'm just going to do it.
Yeah. So you had the initial belief. Yeah. Where do you think that comes
Yeah.
from for you then? Having that belief. Where do you think that having that belief and that mindset to do something, where does it come from for you? Like, how do you?
My family, my brothers, my two older brothers and my dad and my mum to a certain extent. Sorry, mum. They all stay and do what they're going to do. Brilliant. They all believe in themselves. They all do it. And my dad came to this country at like 17, 18 years old, again, with nothing. Fresh from Iraq in the war, could barely speak English, didn't have much money in the back of his pocket, and he killed it. He opened up his own taxi company, did everything along the way, got himself into Loughborough College as well, did everything along the way, opened up, created a family. And I remember just thinking like, well, if he can do it, and then my brother's followed in his footsteps. He's opened his own business, created a family and killed it. Then my next brother went in the army, became a great soldier, became a lance corporal. I thought, well, I'm going to do all of that. So my motivation and my inspiration, it comes from them first, and then it comes from the people I'm around. Because then everyone else is doing it too. Well, most people.
Yeah. So obviously, yeah, so you said people around you. How important is it to surround yourself with people that are going to help and elevate you and push you?
Like growing up, I was quite lucky coming from a cultured strict dad that I didn't have a lot of freedom compared to my other Arab friends. I had more freedom like my Western friends. But that's also taught me that I'm not going to do that to my child, unfortunately. Because if you are around the wrong kind of people, it doesn't matter how strong-minded you think you are, and how proud you are and how stubborn you are, which is who I think I am. I'm a very stubborn person. You can still be led by the wrong sort of characters, because I was. And I went through waves growing up as a child, but I've done a lot of things that I will never let my children do. And it's brought me the experience, but it's experience that I actually didn't need to have. You can watch it on a TV documentary and know that it's just real and think, okay, I don't need to go through that. You know, I've not been through anything bad, but enough.
Yeah, sure. Okay,
and then it was down to characters that I was around. And it's not their fault. We all, you all mislead each other.
Yeah, when you're young as well. Okay. Good. So oh, hold on a second. Okay, we're back on. So okay, so you arrived back in the UK, you set yourself a target that you're going to smash, becoming a trainer, a coach. Did you know, was it specifically like led out like you wanted to do CrossFit or do the gymnastic side of things? Did you have that sort of cemented in your head?
No, at first it was more just like, I'm going to just do what I can. Like, I know that I can help people go running. I know I can help people lift on a barbell or do anything in the gym. So it was more, because again, I was aware of the pandemic, it was more just get there and see what you can do. So it was more like that, yeah.
Okay. And so let's just talk about your business setup right now. Like what is it you do and how do you manage, like, obviously, running a business and what's that experience been like for you? Because obviously coming from the teaching in Vietnam and coming from the prison sort of office and how's the difference? Like, obviously I know you've learned skills and stuff, right? How have you taken those skills and what does it look like now to run a business for you?
What I've taken the most is when you're running a business, you've got no one above you telling you what to do. You've got to do it. In the jail, I was told what to do by my governors and I loved it. I'd do it. Dina, do this? Okay, I'll go do it. Same as in Vietnam. Here, I don't have that. So the first couple of weeks, months, whatever, I wasn't as disciplined as I should have been. I let a lot slide through. There was times where I'm very good with turning up to work. I'm very good. I'll be there. There was times where I would turn up to work, but I wasn't there because I was so tired or I hadn't concentrated. So I hadn't actually, there was just a lot of mistakes I'd made, a lot. So I realized actually, if you look up, there's no one there. Like, there's no boss above you. You are the boss. So that's what, I learned that the most.
Yeah.
Sorry, yeah.
Yeah, no, that's great. It's great.
So from that though was getting a boss.
Getting
a boss. I went out there and he is my business coach. He's the man that actually connected me and you together. So originally he was doing all my website build before I got the keys for my building. And then as I got the keys and started developing it, working, I realized, oh no, I can't do this on my own. So rather than getting any family member involved or any personal friend involved, which is something that I was so adamant I did not want to do, he was in front of me and I thought, he is the guy that's been sent. So now he is my full-time coach. I wouldn't be sitting here even talking to you anyway without him, but I also probably wouldn't be sitting here with as much as I have without him.
Wow. Yeah.
Yeah.
So how important is it to have that, that mentor, that coach?
So important. You need that support from however you want it. Some people want it from blood, from partners, from friends. I didn't want it from any of them. I wanted it from someone that I didn't know.
And why do you think that was then?
I don't know. I don't know actually. Friends more because when it comes to PT Dina at work, I am very much like. When it comes to being a friend, I am the opposite. You have to tell me what to do. You have to ring me like, where are you? Why are you late? I'm very just chilled. I want someone to carry me a little bit.
Yeah.
But my friends also get a bit confused sometimes when I switch on to work mode, and I call it uniform mode. I'm back in uniform, leave me alone. So it doesn't. I just find like it doesn't work.
Yeah. You rather
keep with family. With family, it was more no. Like I just want my journey and my life because I love my family. They are the people I look up to the most in life. But we are close. We're not actually that close. I don't see them much. They live all their lives in separate cities, and I live my life in this city. We're actually none of us are in the same city.
Oh wow, okay. So where are your parents at the moment? And they
Birmingham, Loughborough.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
Brilliant. Okay. Good stuff. Yeah. Okay. Wow. So you're definitely on a journey. Then it's gonna take you places and obviously it's just, I guess, is it 2 years you've been running now? You said, or
no? I've been running 7 months.
Oh, just 7 months. Sorry. Oh wow.
Yeah,
okay.
January, 8 months. So I opened in January.
Okay. Brilliant. Okay. Good stuff. Okay, good stuff. So let's dive more into the nutrition side of things and tell me more about your experience with food, because I take it you said you're from your parents from the Middle East. Is that correct?
Yeah, my dad, my mum's.
That is, yeah. So what was that like growing up in that sort of environment with in terms of food, nutrition?
Well, again, I loved it. And I was lucky because my mum used to cook great foods. Loads of good meals, either whether they were Arabic dishes or Western dishes. So we were very lucky. We had a lot, which taught me more than some of the other children because they didn't even know things like aubergine, okra, stuff like that. So to me, that was a bit like, why don't you know that? And then they'd be like, well, what's it?
Sure. Sure. Okay, good stuff. And as you sort of gotten older, did you sort of venture out into trying different things, or was you always open to trying different certain foods and stuff?
Yeah, no, I'd eat anything up until about 17, 18, which is, again, this is why I believe it's the community that I was putting myself around. Maybe 16, 17. Up until about 15, 16, I would eat anything, do anything, not care about my appearance in that way because I knew I was fit and healthy. I was slightly bigger than most girls, but underneath that chub, I was carrying so much strength and muscle. So I was always doing everything with my brothers. I was the best one at climbing trees, dangling, somersaults, and I could do all of it. But then I hit of that age where all of a sudden, and I hate that I did that, but I looked in the mirror and I thought, oh no, I'm fat. I don't want to be boyish. I don't want to be like this. So then I just went the opposite way to food.
Okay. In what sense? What did you do?
Stopped eating. I used to think, if I don't eat all of these things that I've always ate, I'll lose weight. It was just, I didn't have any knowledge on how to lose weight.
And where did that take? Sorry, go ahead.
It came from, because they say, where did it come from?
Where did that take that take you after going through not eating?
Oh, thin. I went tired. I've always had very strong and thick hair as well. My hair actually started to fall out. I'd already started puberty. My period stopped. I've damaged the back of my teeth from acid coming from my stomach, from empty stomach. don't articulate this the best way. Sorry, I'm not actually a dietitian, but
Sure.
not the dietitians. Half the dietitians I've spoke to, by the way, as well, they don't even know nutrition.
Right.
Half the doctors I've spoke to didn't know nutrition. It was kind of annoying. But anywho, I damaged the back of my teeth from throwing. When I would then try and eat, I'd then throw up. So then the acid from my stomach would burn my back of my teeth.
Whoa.
And even if you clean your teeth after you're being sick, it doesn't matter. That acid from your stomach is a lot stronger, so it like corrodes the back of your mouth. So I damaged the back of my teeth, my hair started getting thin, my period stopped. And I didn't look skinny anyway, I looked horrendous. And the worst thing was, I'd always been, like I say, so strong and so fit, and I wasn't. And that was what affected me the most. That
was what, sorry?
That was what was affecting me the most. Because then all these girls at school started beating me at stuff, and I just thought, no, why can't I do that?
Wow. Okay. So what point was you like, okay, this is getting out of hand now, and I need to start changing or change my ways and stuff?
I think it was like 18. Yeah, I think it must have been about 18, 19. So if I look back on pictures, that's when you see I start looking nicer, better. And if I feel back on memories, that's when I had a better life. But from about 16 to 18, my life had gone from being fine. I can't complain about my upbringing, about my health, about anything. But then from 16 to 18, I just kind of flipped it all, but all me, not anyone else around me, you know. It wasn't a good feeling. And they're the memories, bad memories as well. They're not good memories.
Right.
I mean, don't do all of them, if that makes sense.
No, I understand. I appreciate you sharing that. I mean, like in today's society now, like, it's probably, with social media and everything, do you think there's a higher risk of, other girls potentially doing that, or?
Yeah, they were saying, again, you can't prove statistics, numbers even, but they were saying about 70% now of the Western world is suffering from mental health and obesity. That's crazy. It's very sad. Because I think back then you're looking at 30.
Looking back, what, sorry?
From what years was it? Like 2008 or maybe even 2005. If you look at the guidelines from, again, you can only normally see the American guidelines. If you look at their statistics, it says like 30%. If you now look at the UK, it's like 70 for the obese rate and the mental health rates and the suicide rates. So it all falls into the same category eventually anyway.
Yeah, it all comes full around, yeah.
But us two minor people will never change anything. We can only change the tiny people around us.
Yeah. So for anyone that maybe is going through that experience that you went through, like, what would you say to, that sort of the younger sort of generation, teenage?
I would say you need to find something that you're good at, turn that into something that you'll use for the future, and then that should motivate you to understand that you can't live a bad life, because if you do, you won't get there. But again, I know that's not easy for some people. Like, if I've said that to people before, like, right, what are you good at? Use it. And they're like, I don't know. So then they can't. So that advice is not helpful anyway. So no, it's hard. Again, it's surrounding yourself with like-minded people. But then again, that can sometimes, it's hard.
Yeah. I mean, the experience that you went through in terms of like not eating and that sort of that period of your life, what would be the best solution for that, or the best way to sort of stop doing that? And what do you think you wish you had at the time to help you, learn more, like what was correct and what wasn't, sort of thing?
Yeah, I think obviously reach out to the specialists that are there for us. But I also think tell your closest people, whether that is blood or friends, exactly what you're feeling like and what you're doing. And then because then sometimes your people can help you more than specialists. But I think you need a mixture, because these specialists that can put you on the right track to learning and educate. But they can't always be they're not always the right, they're not always the only answer.
Yeah.
And I'll always stand by that. And I think sometimes,
No, sure, appreciate that. So do you think that experience of what you had when you was young, did that sort of give you more like stepping you into that area of nutrition? Was there like a gap in the market that you found? Like, talk to me about that experience, how you went then on to lead to, you know, your nutrition.
Then what I noticed was I was being fed these different things. Like I said previously, my mum was the opposite in the sense of she was a very big woman, and her health was bad from that, diabetes, blood clots. So she had protein C deficiency. She was prone to deep vein thrombosis, which is the blood clot. So she's on warfarin for the rest of her life. But so going from listening to people feeding her things, and then listening to people feeding myself things, and then watching the community around me, I remember just thinking one day, not that I know it all, because of course, no, we don't know anything, but I know it. I do really feel like I know enough. And I remember thinking, you guys, you just learn one way, and then you stay to that way. That's not enough. So that's why I thought to myself, right, before I even become a mum anyway, I am going to learn everything that I can, so I'm the strongest, and then my children will be the strongest. So dietitianry, like I said, I've done the weight management course, I've done nutrition, I've studied different foods from different countries as well, like the way that, like you say, the Western world eats, the way the Middle East will eat, the way the Southeast Asia eats. And I was in America for 6 months as well. I did a thing called Camp America. When I was, the way the Americans eat, boy, no wonder they are 70% obese. It's just mad.
How's it like? How's it like out there, the Western in the American diet?
Mad. When my dad was at the airport to pick me up when I came back after my 6-month trip in America, the first thing he said was, "Oh my God, why are you so fat?" Because I was so fat. Honestly.
Oh, no.
Because you just wake up, cakes, cream, waffles, which is nice. Don't wake up and eat all of these things every day. Fried food, syrups, fast food on every corner, coffee, loads, every lemonade flavor you could think of under the sun. So children want to wake up and eat fruit and water. They wake up and drink coffee and pink lemonade.
Yeah,
it's crazy.
Man. Wow. Okay. So let's talk more about carbohydrates then.
Yeah.
So everybody's favorite, most people's favorite when it comes to, you know, foods and getting them in. What's your been experience with carbohydrates then? What's been your you know, your background with that then?
A different mixture of it, different types. So you rice, my experience, again, fed all of it. You would have rice and potatoes together, which was unusual to some people. Or we'd have rice noodles and then some bread. So I always had a plate full of carbs.
Would you? So in terms of like misconceptions then, what are the things that you've heard or you hear from maybe clients that tend to have around carbohydrates? Do you get much people like, you know,
it slows you down, it makes you fat, and they're scared, which it can slow you down, it can make you fat, but so can everything. You just got to balance it, and you've got to understand the right forms of the carbohydrates, because a lot of do carry more sugar than others, which will then obviously slow you down and make you fat.
So what's been your experience in terms of like giving out advice when it comes to, you know, balancing carbohydrates with activity? Do you tend to like say, you know, move more or reduce less of your carbs? Like, how would you go about advising?
My advice to all of my women is, if you're not exercising, you can't eat that much of anything. It's just, whether that's carbohydrates, proteins, cakes, fats, whatever you want to eat, if you're not exercising, you can't eat that much anyway. If you're going to exercise, you need to fuel yourself with the food. So I'm pretty straightforward and blunt like that. If you're going to exercise, you can have slightly more, but still not too much. If you're not going to exercise, you can't eat too much. But either way, your body needs fueling with food.
No, absolutely right. Absolutely. And do you tend to sort of recommend like carbohydrate? Is there like an optimal time you'd say recommend for people to get them in?
Because again, that's because I'm not a believer of that. I'm a believer that you can eat at 8 o'clock at night. You need to have that meal. But then you just got to factor in the next morning. So how I like it is, I teach my clients about the intermittent fasting. And I do teach them that the body cannot digest too much anyway, which again, I understand it's not common sense for most people, although I think it should be. So if you're going to eat at, for example, 11 o'clock at night, and then you're going to train at 6 in the morning, you don't need to eat again before you train. But then you have some trainers will tell them differently. Some trainers will say, no, they've been sleeping for 8 hours, they're now empty, eat another meal. I also say to my clients, just assess how you feel, but you need to understand these are the meals that you should be needing to get them in.
So when you say assess how they feel, what should they be looking out for?
I say fatigue in any area, whether you're tired, whether you're just feeling overall lazy, whether you're not feeling tired where you want to sleep, you just don't really want to move. Any sort of injuries and spasms that can start happening. So I know me personally, when I start getting tired, and if it is probably through lack of food, just by doing too much sometimes, my joints do start to ache a little bit. My elbows and my knees. The minute I'm fine, my whole body is fine. Yeah, you just got to look out for everything.
Yeah. Do you think people nowadays are so busy with their life and family and children and work, it's too sort of neglect?
No, I really don't. I just think people are this is where Dina comes now. This is my character, Peter Dina and Dina. I think people live on excuses all the time because we've now hit a stage in this world where the majority, and I'll refer to the Western world, that's what I mean, that's what I see. The majority of the Western world is online. So people get up, they have however long to log on Zoom or on whatever platform they're using and work. They have no excuse why they can't prep food or why they can't listen to a podcast and learn about carbohydrates, learn about this, learn about intermittent fasting, learn about why you need to sleep and why you need to get 10,000 steps, why you need to drink water. They should be learning, especially if they're mothers or fathers. But again, that's my opinion. And I get a lot of people say, you make very strong statements when you're not a mother. I'm like, so I can be a mum and I will be a mum. Just because I'm 30 and I've not been a mum at 22 years old, I'm waiting to learn. So I'm very strict. Like, no, you make excuses, just get up and learn.
Yeah. Well, I guess the mothers, or they could argue saying like, once the children do come along, how do you manage that? Because it isn't easy, to be honest. I understand where you're coming from. Because when I was younger, and I had clients who were parents and whatnot, I did dish out the same sort of advice. I did do that, and then it was actually only until I actually had kids myself I realized, man, this is actually tough. It ain't easy. It isn't easy, but it's up to the parent. You're right in the sense of, they have decided to have children. It is their responsibility to even go out. That having the children should actually make them want to go out their way more to learn, to make sure that they are the best themselves, so then they can then carry that on for the children. So I agree with what you're saying. I understand where you're coming from.
Organization is a big part. Organization, discipline. If you I've got 60 plus kids, thank the Lord now. I love that. I took 25 of them to Ninja Warrior. I messed up and my coaches didn't come with me. I got there and there was me and about 25 children. I thought, no, trampoline park, sorry. I thought, oh, what have I done?
Yeah.
I know it was only an hour and a half, not the rest of my life. But with just control and discipline, I didn't have one single issue. And that's the same thing. For 7 months, I've been open in this building for 7 months, running my children. I've not had one single issue. I've got nephews. I've got my best friends have all got children. I just feel like every single family I've seen, I've looked at, and I'm not comparing or anything. I'm really not. I might be, but I don't mean to be comparing in a negative way. But every single thing I've ever seen, family, lives, anything, I just think, yes, you can with discipline and organization, and all of these things are fixed. That's just what but maybe when I'm in it, I might tell you in 3-4 years, I take all that back. I'm so sorry. I don't know.
No, you've got that. You're totally right. Those are fundamentals, discipline and organization. So how can people?
My mum did it with 5 kids. We were never late to any of our sports. We were never late to school. We were never in dirty uniform. We were never not fed. Our cupboards were never not full. Our house was never not clean. She worked. She was a wife and she had 5 kids.
Wow.
And she still does have very bad mental health issues due to food and her body, not due to anything else. It was all because of food in her body.
Right. So would you say, like, say it again, sorry?
She killed it with all of her children.
Everything, yeah. It just goes to show how important getting the right foods on board is. And so what would you say about, like, labeling foods as bad, especially carbohydrates? Are there such things as bad carbohydrates and good carbohydrates, in your opinion?
Now, I do think there are. I do think there are bad carbohydrates. You just got to be aware. I don't think you don't need to avoid them, or life's not fun. But you should be aware of what is bad and what is let's not say bad. Yeah, what is not as good and what is better.
Okay.
But yeah, bad. Good.
So what would you sort of label those sort of foods? What foods could you give some examples of some?
Yeah, so like your instant noodles, that's carbohydrate. It's a packet instant noodle, which in Vietnam they'll open like a packet of crisps. They'll scrunch it, pour the seasoning on, and eat like crisps. They don't touch water. Then my friends will pour them into a bowl, pour water in, put them in the microwave, or put them on hot. I pour hot water in, put the lid on, let them soak, and then eat. So they're not actually being cooked. Everyone eats them different. However, they're bad form of carbohydrates because they're processed, they're stabilized to be refined, so they're still crunchy. So if you want noodles, go for rice noodles or udon noodles. There's a comparison of good and bad, in my opinion. But then again, you have someone next to me that will say the opposite.
No, brilliant. And in terms of
like potatoes as well, for example, chips. I know we've cooked that for them to become bad, rather than you can't open a packet of chips. Well, you can, I guess. But let's say French fries, for example. We fry the French fries or oven the French fries, microwave the French fries. You can do anything to them now. However, that's a bad form. Whereas if you just get a normal bacon potato, that's better. That's good. That's bad.
Yeah, because it comes with additional calories from oils, etc. And
and
all these.
Preserved. It's made so it can be preserved, which is not good. Nothing can be preserved. It should be survived that long in a bag, and then we eat it.
Yeah, that's one thing I learned. The longer the foods are on the shelf, you should be concerned.
Like your tin food. I sell all tin food now. But again, I try my hardest not to corrupt my clients to make it harder for them, because I do understand that I'm dealing with women that do have all of these situations that I don't have. Situations, bubbles, husbands, children, blah, blah, blah. I don't have these things. So I can avoid the microwave, avoid tin food. And it's not that hard for me. But I'm telling you now, and I know this for a fact, my children will eat the same way. So I'll plan. I'll feel sorry for them, but I'll plan it before. So I don't, I do try and say to the clients, look, if you want chickpeas and you don't have time to go and get the chickpeas, soak them, bang them in the oven, just go get the tinned. But just be mindful that you're eating a tin rather than eating fresh.
So do you think it's down to like just undoing habits
and down to knowledge?
Yeah. Okay, good stuff. Is there anything else you want to sort of share upon carbohydrates that you've learned or sort of come across with clients?
No, just don't. My biggest share to everyone is please just don't be scared of food.
Yeah.
Because especially as a parent, what a lot of women need to also realize is when you're saying and doing all these different things, your child's watching. It really is. I've got children that sit in my building and say, I don't like food. And I'm thinking, that's because your mum says that. I know it. It upsets me. I don't say anything. I'm trying to be professional. I don't want to lose my child. But just think,
Yeah. So do you hold like, I guess, seminars in your place for around food and stuff, or?
I've been actually really guilty of this, and I've only done one in 7 months. So I am really, I feel bad for my women now. But that's something that the minute I get off this call, I'll organise this week.
Brilliant.
But yeah, I had one, and I'd give it to the women and my parents. Obviously, they're two separate groups. So I let all the parents, I do encourage the parents to do it. I do say, please, this is going to benefit your child. Please listen.
Yeah, sure. It's getting them on board, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay, brilliant. Wow, thank you for your time, Dina. I've really enjoyed this episode and chatting to you. Where can we find you?
You can find me on everything. Well, let me just say about social media, just one point, please.
Sure.
Up until 3 years ago, I never touched social media. Didn't want it, never needed it. I only hit Instagram, and I'm now joined the TikTok, which I hate, but my business coach has told me I've got to, for the followers, for the people that know who you are then. So I do it for my business and I do it for my clients. Anyone that needs to hit social media, you need to be understanding of the fact that it's fake. Some of it's brilliant, some of it's fake. Don't get trapped and don't drown. And I also think social media should be banned for everyone under the age of 25. But find me on every social media platform: Instagram, Twitter, TikTok, LinkedIn, Facebook. And then the main thing though is my website. And then in the next 2-3 months, I'll launch my app.
Brilliant. Woo. Brilliant. What's your, say that again, sorry? Just women and children though. Okay, yeah. You just work with women and children. So, sorry, what's your user for Instagram, if you don't mind plugging that in? Oh, sorry, PT Dina, which is my private, which I actually keep that as real as I can. I share a lot on there, which sometimes I'm like, oh, I'm going to be in trouble by my dad right now or my parents. But I do share as much as I can. And then my business page is Survival Den, and that is all love. I share all my child's progression and my adult's progressions, and I love it. It's a really good Instagram page, actually, because you see how far we've all come. No, absolutely. So, those watching, check it out. But appreciate your time, Dina. Thanks for coming on. I really does. Thank you so much. No problem. I'll speak to you soon. Yeah, you take care. Good life as well. Cheers. Bye-bye. Bye.